Whacked Out Wrestling. Just because we finish our live show doesn't mean we have to go through the motions. Hello, everyone. This is a short week on Whacked Out Wrestling because, honestly, it's kind of weird because ultimately, I'll just go with it. I didn't watch Raw or SmackDown this week. Maybe it was just because of the fact that a friend wanted me to get onto Grand Theft Auto Online again, and I ended up playing that for him. But ultimately, it's a problem where usually Raw and SmackDown are supposed to be destination viewing, especially if you're pretty much obsessed with wrestling on it as the host is on it. And if they get to a point where I not only miss Raw when I have this show to watch Raw, and I don't see the problem with that, that's not a good thing. And it really bodes well for the future of the show as once they move to Fox this fall. So this is just not going to be a good thing. And ultimately, I'm here with Roshan. He has some big news from the week as well, so we can just go run through things that happened on it. So anything that happened in wrestling this week, Rosh?
Well, according to PW Insider, WWE Studios is doing a collaboration project with Netflix called The Main Event. Filming begins later this month, and it's going to run through late August.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically about a 10-year-old boy who's bullied but dreams of growing up to become a WWE superstar, and he discovers the secret to having super strength in his breakfast cereal.
Honestly,
go ahead.
It's the story of Kofi Kingston.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although I think his was less about eating breakfast cereal and more, they can't get away with eating ass on television yet. So, but it just says the story that eat your breakfast cereal that may or may not be ass, and you'll get super strength and be a superstar, and presumably lose the title to Shane McMahon.
Well, I mean, yeah, apparently that's a rumor to it. Although I don't know if it's like a rumor per se or just the sort of thing where they wouldn't put it past WWE, because honestly, I wouldn't put it past them at this point.
Honestly, it's worse on this one because it's gone past, wouldn't put it past them like, oh, that's good shit, fellas, or just goes from, I wouldn't put it past them because they hate the fans, and has gone to, after Super Showdown last week, Shane McMahon winning the world title is objectively the right way that the storyline twists and turns on it. Like, sometimes you can say, okay, this storyline will be obvious, so you got to swerve them to disappoint fans, or this storyline isn't, you have to swerve them, but this way you're doing it is the right thing to do storyline wise because it all makes sense. And right now, even though no one wants to see Shane McMahon as WWE champion, objectively that's the right thing to do storyline wise. They've pushed him so hard over the last 6 to 8 months that objectively, if Shane McMahon does not win the WWE title at least once, you booked the story wrong. And that is just depressing. There's no good way to put that. It's just depressing that we have to root for Shane McMahon to be WWE champion, if only so they can say, well, at least it makes sense. And ultimately, that's the problem where you have to have stuff that makes sense, even if you don't want to see it, because the worst part about Vince Russo's booking was going all swerves. This makes perfect sense. A child could see this is how it's going. Screw you, we're doing this just to fool you. And that works sometimes, but doesn't really go with it. Right now, the storylines, twists, and turns means that Shane McMahon is WWE champion, even if it's the likely Shane wins the title from Kofi and Brock immediately cashes in, there is no way to do the story right without a Shane McMahon title reign. Thoughts?
Basically, my only thought is What's the over-under on it happening by SummerSlam?
I'm assuming it's going to happen at SummerSlam specifically.
Oh, yeah.
And if not SummerSlam, then at the very... It's kind of has to go at SummerSlam because it's one of those, if it doesn't happen at SummerSlam, it's happening at the Fox premiere. And fuck no. If it happens at the Fox premiere, there's going to be riots. They'll have XFL levels of, fuck this shit, I'm out. And that's ultimately the problem, where it just goes to the same thing where everyone's eyes are going to be on WWE once the SmackDown premiere happens, and if you pull the gut bullet in the chamber of Shane wins the WWE title, people will be laughing their asses off. And before you say, well, Vince McMahon won the title on UPN SmackDown on it, the difference was no one expected that to be a serious reign. Everyone knew when it happened. So Steve Austin cost Triple H the title, screw him over, and it was a one-day thing, and a couple days later it was going right to a six-pack challenge.
Right.
Vince McMahon was not a real champion when he did it. It was a means to an end. And if Shane McMahon did it, he would be a real champion, he would be really fighting the top stars, and he would really deserve it. And ultimately, that would be somehow weirder and somehow better.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Like, I feel like you said, they have to do this, if only because that's like where it's going to pay off. And obviously, if you keep one issue with like doing swerves over and over, apart from the obvious nonsensical plot line, is it really a swerve at that point? Like, if you know that it's going to end in a swerve, can you really legitimately call it a swerve?
Well, it's kind of weird on that one because the nature of the swerve is weird. Like, for instance, taking two examples. If for one thing, you have Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles, you expect AJ Styles to turn. You expect AJ Styles to turn. You expect AJ Styles to turn. Seth Rollins turns. That's kind of a swerve, but it's not. It's still kind of expected. AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. You expect Styles to turn. Expect Styles to turn. Expect Styles to turn. Suddenly, No Way Jose shows up and does a conga line, and both guys just give up the title and just join his conga line on it. Didn't expect that to happen, did you?
Good Lord.
Swerve, because it's just that's come so far out of nowhere that no one could expect that to happen. So it's a swerve, but it's not good, or it's not even reasonable on it. It's just a swerve.
Yeah,
and it's not even like a swerve that doesn't, and that's basically the difference. With a swerve, it can be anything. It can even be a boat. And but with a non-swerve on it, it would have to be like a fork in the road. If you have AJ Styles and Seth Rollins going so far, either Styles is turning or Rollins is turning.
Right.
But if you do a swerve, it can be anything you put your mind to. But those go through it. Other big news of the week. New Japan and the other WoW are moving to Fridays, one's moving to Saturdays, so they won't be going up against SmackDown. It will be the same 8 p.m. for the other WoW and 9 p.m. for the New Japan show. And we still have to keep going against these ones because ultimately New Japan WoW stole our name on this one. You will give us the name back that we had from these ones. I'm not going with my team of Marlon Brando lookalikes again. But basically, from WoW from Raw we had Seth Rollins talks about stuff. Sami Zayn finally talks about it and says Baron Corbin should be the champion, and because
Who this man?
Yes, And that's one of the things where at least they know how to do it. Like, one of the best Owens things for a heel turn that was so good was when Owen said, "I love Roman Reigns." And he did it because he knew that would make you boo him. Then you have what should have happened at Super Showdown of Lars Sullivan versus Lucha House Party, and Sullivan just destroys all three Lucha House Party members within a few minutes, which is just bad.
At least it's the bad that you can expect.
Yeah. R-Truth and Carmelis and go after things. They get stuck in an elevator because this is a sitcom and that's just good shit. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins are dating, in case you haven't noticed, because Lord knows you can't have the main event of WrestleMania talked about who she's dating for now.
I mean, we've always sort of suspected. I mean, he always did have a redhead, like someone Irish and redheaded on his shoulder telling him to burn things.
Well, yes, but that, and it also is positive. I mean, this is the month of Pride Month, and they did have a lot of benefits about WWE supporting Pride. So expecting that the WWE Universal Champion is dating a man is always a good thing. And then you go to Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans fighting, and they have an interview. Nicky Cross and Alexa Bliss do some things. And then we have Miz TV with Samoa Joe. Same problems there. And then we get six-man tag action. Samoa Joe, Bobby Lashley, and Cesaro versus Miz, Ricochet, and Braun Strowman. Just putting everything we've seen as the extra matches for the last few weeks together. And then we have tag team action. Becky Lynch and Bayley versus Lacey Evans, Alexa Bliss. Lacey Evans pins Bayley, which is, why isn't she going for the SmackDown title then, if that's the case? And as the extra bonus, of course it happens in San Jose, California, which is not a good thing.
Is that Bayley's hometown, or?
Yes, it is. But that's kind of expected because people are mad it's Bayley on this one. But for the one thing, it's usually WWE has bad tendency for the person in their hometown to do the job on it. And for the other thing, she's from San Jose, people. I think everyone in San Jose knows that the Sharks are going to let you down. So everyone from San Jose is probably going to let you down in that arena. That ties to Sami Zayn being an outside referee, and then proceeds to be the evil referee for Shane McMahon. So naturally, he auctions off his referee's outfit for Sami for Syria because Rami Sabeh is a great human being, but Sami Zayn is a fucking cunt. Heyman cuts a promo and does his thing because even though, so they actually have your Heyman moment for it. And then 24/7 people are in this elevator, and they're still stuck in an elevator. Supposedly the problem on this one, Drake Maverick's stuck, EC3's stuck, and says that he's mad that Maverick's getting married and didn't make him this invited. You've got Heath Slater trying to get out for his kids, which just happens because, again, it's a sitcom. You have the stuck in an elevator moment. The Iconics break another undefeated streak and get the victory, which is surprising on a lot of things. Namely, that the Iconics actually win a match.
Huzzah!
You have Shane McMahon beating Roman Reigns in a video. Victory celebration, and finally gets through it. And the tag titles on the line, as we have Zack, Ryder, and Curt Hawkins versus the Revival versus the Usos. And yeah, of course, the Ryder and Hawkins are losing the titles finally because it's already done for this. But in the surprise, it's actually the Revival getting the tag titles again. So Delpher's still going from the "we swear we listened to you" back in December, even if it doesn't seem like it. Of course, it's still the "you'd like the revival to be a thing, right? Well, they're a thing. Totally a thing now."
Revel in their thingliness.
Mm-hmm. And we have some more battles in the elevator, and keep going, and the chase goes on. And then we have Firefly Funhouse as it continues. And same point.
Still some good shit.
Yeah. Though it's pretty much a benefit, as apparently Bray Wyatt eats Rambling Rabbit. So apparently his sponsorship with AEW is coming soon. But it's sponsored by Rambling Rabbit's Delicious Rabbit Spread, because WWE can't have something be beautiful for too long. WWE, nothing gold can stay. And then we have Rollins versus Owens as the main event, and we get non-title. Zayn is outside referee. Is what it is. DQ by Seth Rollins, and it's clear it's going to be stomping grounds. Seth can lose the title by DQ. So it's just, again, it's so mad that I didn't even feel the need to actually watch live. So this is just not good. And then you go to the one which I actually have an excuse for SmackDown, and you have the return of the full New Day lineup, and it's so bad that it even forgets the fact that, wait a second, did they? And then I think, oh, that's happened in my EWR game. My mistake. Miz TV happens, and he's supposed to have Shane McMahon go. Same benefit, and just a meh.
What happened in your EWR?
Oh, my EWR game had an incident that's had one of the New Day members go off screen on it, and I almost thought, wait a second, they're not complete, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember. I didn't watch, so I just confused what happened in EWR with it.
Ah, okay.
And then you get a big battle as Miz has to beat Elias, then McIntyre to get a match against Shane McMahon. Miz actually does beat Elias, which is a good plus there. And then Miz gets a loss against Drew McIntyre, which honestly is fair on this, because if anything, there should be more of the, oh, you win this, you get 5 minutes with me, and then they don't get the 5 minutes so that it means something. Ideally, if you're going to make Shane McMahon work in this role, make him as the final boss. You have to get through these people, and then you have to fight me. But then, naturally, Shane fights him anyway, and beats Miz in 44 seconds. He's beaten in less than a minute by Shane. So, of course, he's going after the U.S. title this morning. So, and then we have Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville is giving copies of Muscle and Fitness to her, because there's a whole storyline is built around, you read books. Ew. Read magazines instead. The magazine situation is dying. There's no need for them. Even if you're just ogling Mandy Rose from Muscle and Fitness, you can ogle her online just as easily. And then
but they're not books.
Yes. And then we go to a title unification match as Daniel Bryan and Rowan get to fight for the Yolo County Tag Team titles, which is a surprise, as we also have the bonus of, let the record show, AJ Kirsch of this team was in the same Tough Enough season as the two people who just went in that segment. Or was it the season before that? But he was on Tough Enough, so but at least he won his main roster title, unlike Mandy Rose or Sonya Deville have yet. So who knows about that? Totally, but though I guess I should have expected it because the Buzz has had his success in WWE 2K19, and they just had Cole Quinn win the Battle Royal at Super Showdown, so who would have thought? Heavy Machinery was turned down, and we got Heavy Machinery getting their first championship in their existence of the Yolo County Tag Team titles. So ultimately, that's a plus for Heavy Machinery. And here I thought they were just going to be jobbers. My mistake.
Good for them.
Yep. Carmella and R-Truth are still going for this one. They're still in. Truth hides in an anvil case, and they keep going. So Jinder Mahal comes back with a crowbar. Probably not Devon Storm, but knowing WWE right now, it wouldn't surprise me.
Isn't that just wacky?
Yes, that's good shit. Sonya Deville fights Carmella, and it's meh, but at least they're doing something. But it's still a problem when you have Carmella fighting the members of Fire and Desire, because presumably the other person should be going after the 24/7 title. It's fine. We can accept it. They're going to be goofy roll-ups anyway. There's nothing wrong with an intergender match for the 24/7 belt. Alexa Bliss is in the back. Nicky Cross comes in. They talk about the fact that Alexa Bliss and Bayley were blocked each other. They mock Sean Ross Sapp because fuck that guy, and continues for it. And the New Day has come in for their promo. Big E's finally back, like he was 2 years ago. And Big E continues to go with some shade against Charlotte Flair, because once again, I'm not sure, but it just seems like all the African American performers in WWE really, really like throwing shade at Charlotte Flair. I just don't know. Maybe it's her father's a noted racist thing. That might be it.
Or it could be that thing where her whole gimmick claimed that she was genetically superior.
Yeah. That's also a good one. And the fact that she beat up Sasha Banks many times to prove she was genetically superior.
Oof.
And also possibly the fact that she allegedly was caught making a racist tirade at a traffic stop by her ex-husband. So there's possibly that too.
Are we sure she's not Hulk Hogan's kid?
Possibly. Well, they are both big-breasted blondes who are disturbingly close to their father, so I could see it. And then they keep hyping up the match for a cage with Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler, and you're not helping me want to keep watching people. I want to like you, WWE. Let me do it. They keep going. Bayley versus Nicky Cross as we fight with someone, Aleister Black, just waiting for someone to pick a fight for him. And again, just go after the 24/7 title.
Seriously, I mean, it's not even like, I mean, the 24/7 title is perfect for the stuff where like creative doesn't have anything else for you to do. I mean, here they're basically, this might as well be creative has nothing for it.
Yeah. And honestly, it could be worse on it. I mean, they did make a whole gimmick about the mole, so we know Vince McMahon has seen the Austin Powers movies. It's just a positive that they're doing this and not going, I am from Holland. Isn't that weird?
Well, I mean, that would make even more sense to put him into the 24/7 circuit, because he likes God.
Exactly. And hell, we don't know on this one, because I'm sure they can just have Keith Lee's call up as fat bastard. So then we have Bayley versus Nicky Cross, and of course you can't do it in her hometown. So you have Bayley finally get the victory against Nicky that she should have the night before. which was meh. And then they send the case to Los Angeles, and so R-Truth is stuck in it. Because possibly killing Ron Killings is fun. Tee-hee. Which goes right into Firefly Funhouse as they have animal murder. Then Apollo Crews isn't happy with Andrade jumping him. Chad Gable's taking notes for him, and they at least try to start a new gimmick for Chad Gable. So naturally, he's on 205 Live in about 15 minutes later and goes into 205 Live Oblivion. And then they have a 6-man tag, which was basically Big E's back, and they just go with New Day gets a nice victory to beat Ziggler, Owens, and Zayn, which is what it is. And ultimately, that's really the problem, because even with a show where you have 2 tag titles change hands, both the Revival getting the titles back and Heavy Machinery finally winning the big one of the Yolo County tag belts, I don't feel like I missed much. And that's just bad.
Yeah, there was also NXT and NXT UK.
Yeah. And honestly, that's one of the problems where at least things happened on NXT UK this week, but it's kind of moot since everyone knew what was happening 2 months ago because they're taping spree. So now we finally got to Alexander Wolf jumping to NXT UK and proving it's a thing.
Right. And joining This Ain't Ring Comp, a WWE stable.
Exactly. Which is honestly good for it because, again, that's having a NXT UK version of Ring Comp would help him out for something there. And it's not like Wolf's exactly bad, so they're at least getting something out of the guy, which was better than Sanity being nothing. So can't complain there. Meanwhile, there's still the cases where it's not very good right now. The only heel with positive momentum is Shane McMahon. The only face with positive momentum is R-Truth. And the hot hand right now is Bray Wyatt. That's not a good list of something you can build on. If your best heel is the non-wrestler, the best babyface is the guy in the comedy feud, and the guy with the hot hand right now is also in a comedy gimmick, what am I supposed to like here? It's like there's just nothing. Just give us something to cheer about. But ultimately, that's a pretty weak week of wrestling. It's not enough that I didn't happen to see stuff this week, but ultimately the fact that I don't feel like I missed much, and that's with title reigns and the changes to the fact that you did miss something. It's like, what's the point of watching?
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Yep. Ultimately, this is WWE. It's some good shit. But that was this week in wrestling, which was meh. And there's no nice way to put it. Just meh. Until next week, hopefully there'll be something to work with. I'm Thomas S.K. Green, and with me is John Roche. We didn't invite Joey the Caveman or Prince Moxley Lopez this week because there was just nothing to talk about. See ya.
Yeah.